called Tass. My first exposure to you, was as a regular permanent fixture on Chelsea Lately. What was it like working on Chelsea Lately?
Oh yes. Hold on, my earbuds just.
No problem. You sound good on this end.
Oh, okay, good. What was the Chelsea lately question?
Well, that was my first exposure to you, was working as a regular fixture on Chelsea Lately for all those years. Like, what was that experience like for you?
Oh, I mean, it was so awesome working with Chelsea, and I really do miss that experience of, you know, um, working with all those comedians, and we all kind of knew each other, and everyone was friends, and then we'd see each other in the clubs, and like I said, the pandemic kind of like shifted everything. So, those were great times, and I think, Chelsea continues to be super generous with her, you know, her success and what she's been able to create. And, she really helped so many people sell out their shows and all around the country. I thought that was really cool of her.
What did you learn from Chelsea from working on that show?
Um, well, Chelsea is pretty tireless. Like she just seems to work so hard, but also she just had like an extreme generous streak. And I think that, I think that's so important. And I think, you know, you see a lot of people don't have that. So that's definitely something to emulate.
That's true, especially in this business. What about growing up or early in your comedy career? Like, who are some of the, women or men in comedy that you looked up to or kind of coming up in the
Well,
business?
Chelsea was definitely one of them. When I started, everyone was like, you have to go see Sarah Silverman. I loved her. Uh, Bonnie McFarlane, Morgan Murphy, Tig Notaro. There were so many, Marilyn Rice Cup. There were just so many great women coming up when I started. And, I was always interested in watching the women, but, obviously so many funny men as well. Um, Zach Galifianakis. I would always stop everything to be able to watch him. Um, so I feel glad that I came up, kind of not really knowing who a lot of comedians were or any comedians. And then as I started slowly becoming familiar with them, it all happened for me in the right way. So I didn't get too intimidated to start.
That's good. Well, you've also done many a roast on Comedy Central. How does one prepare for a roast?
Well, it's funny because people will start sending you jokes about the other people who are on the dais with you once they find out because maybe you're like, oh, these people really don't like this person. Like people would start like sending you jokes, so that's kind of funny. And then also, for the James Franco roast, we were all practicing our jokes like at the same shows, so you'd have to like go in the other room and you know not try to not listen to someone like doing their jokes about you. Or sometimes I would not do the jokes about the people who would be at the show. But really what it takes is that you have to rehearse it a lot. You really have to have the energy to get the best jokes and then run it a bunch and see what's hitting, because stand up is so interesting. Like you really will get the same level of response from the same thing, no matter where you go. And then you just kind of consistently can start to see like what's your weakest, what's your strongest. And I mean, obviously there's good crowds and bad crowds, but it's always fascinating to see like, oh, that one, I love it, but it never really hits. And it does the same thing in every single room. So, it's comedy is lucky in that sense that you can really test it out in that way.
And then I'm sure you have the other situation too, where you have jokes that you're not sure will land, and you're like, that's the superstar of the night.
Right. But then I guess what I'm saying is if you've practiced it, if you've already done it at 10 different venues, you kind of have an idea of what's going to hit.
Right. What was it like roasting Justin Bieber?
I mean, I think that they do such a good job, like I felt like we were just so dark, and a lot of people didn't know him, and he just was like, he took it so well. I thought I was very impressed with him after that. Wish I had written some of those jokes.
It was great. Well, from one podcast host to the next, your Endless Honeymoon podcast is great. What do you love best about being a podcaster?
Well, honestly, it really got me through the pandemic because we sort of ramped it up and we did it twice a week, and just like being able to hear from everybody and people calling in and asking questions, and you know sorry,
It's okay.
a lot of the people who call in are in their 20s, and it's kind of cool to be able to talk about relationships and life lessons and share things that have happened to us with people. And I don't know, I just felt like it was really cathartic for me. And so many people have told us that they're so glad we did too during the pandemic, and it really got them through it, and they're still catching up. And I'm just so happy that we were able to do it, I guess.
It's great. As we kind of wind down, like, have you learned anything about yourself from this experience of going to Mars?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be in line to go to Mars. I mean, there is nothing to do. Like, you're just going to be sitting on a spaceship with people with bad internet. It's like I guess you can tell your friends or girls you want to have sex with that you went to Mars, and they would be impressed by it. But it really does seem like one of those things that sounds better than it would be.
I have no desire to do it. It also kind of scares me, and I'm not the type that scares very easily, but it's just too unknown. But you've done this experience, so why would you need to really go?
I mean, listen, if Marshawn Lynch is going to go again, maybe I would come.
Well, that's just my last question. You say, you don't want to do any more reality TV, but you're home now, you're with your family once this settles down. What if they do like an all-stars version of Stars on Mars in a year or two, 3 years, and they call you and they want to go back? Would you do this again if you got a call from Fox in the future?
I mean, I don't want to ever say I'll never do something. So, yeah, sure. I mean, I was very scared, and it was definitely way better and way more fun than I was planning on. I truly didn't know what was going to happen. So I'm really happy with the experience. So yeah, Fox, I'll come again.
Let's just see you back on there again. Well, I've loved watching you in these first several episodes. Thank you for checking in, especially with bad internet at the hotel. You've sounded great. I really appreciate chatting with you, and, keep in touch.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, David. And hopefully, yeah, let me know when this airs and I'll repost it.
That would be amazing. I'll tag you all over. Thank you so much, Natasha.
Okay, bye.